Winter Roses, Autumn by Fairytalelovr, Chapter 14. Once Archmaester Marwyn took his leave, Ned sat back on his desk, staring at the journal he had brought. Adam had warned him so many times that this would come back to haunt him, and the foolish High Septon, leaving such an information out in the open where anyone could find it. For a man who had sworn to secrecy in the name of the Seven, he wasn't very true to his word. The Archmaester had left the pages bookmarked, so Ned didn't have trouble finding the evidence of the most dangerous secret in Westeros. Prince Rhaegar called me this afternoon and made me a troublesome request. But then he explained his reasons, and I must say that while it hasn't been done yet, not to my knowledge at least, it is fair and just. So it seems that the Maesters have declared the Princess Elia unable to carry any more children. Even the attempt may kill her. Therefore, it is clear that the royal marriage is over. Prince Rhaegar said so himself, and they have no intention of ever sharing a bed again. And while the throne does have heirs, a son and a brother, if the Seven say that the purpose of marriage is procreation, should we allow for it once procreation is no longer viable? The Princess Elia, who was eligible for our conversation, said this was an agreement they reached. Their marriage is dead, so they would like this dissolution to be legal and final. It is true that annulments are not given like this, only when the union has not yet been consummated, and since the union has already yielded 2 fruits, such possibility is crossed out. Or when one of the spouses has joined an order that requires a vow of celibacy. Princess Elia has made it clear that she has no intention of joining the sept, and of course we cannot consider asking the Prince of Dragonstone to give up his crown, especially when things are in such a place where the king is no longer sound. However, as I thought before, if the holy purpose of a marriage is the continuation of a bloodline, why should we continue to tend and water a dead tree? Would it not be nobler to allow the prince to find another wife and have more lawful and faithful children than force him to live in sin? I think so. Prince Rhaegar has declared that while the marriage will be over, he intends to keep his son, the Prince Aegon, as his heir. So, truly, how can I refuse the request from a sane man, especially when the Princess Elia is in agreement? And for this reason, I shall agree to their request and grant them their annulment. It is my opinion that the princess, knowing that their marriage bed is now cold, prefers to retire with dignity than continue in court, watching her royal husband with another woman. After the incident at Harrenhal, it cannot be said that Prince Rhaegar will not look for another woman. I think Princess Elia's decision is a noble and proud one. She would give up the crown of a future queen in respect of her dignity. It is not a choice that most people would make. So I must say I commend her. She is to go to Dawn after the bureaucracy is handled, and the children will go with her. But that is their own issue to handle. I shall begin drafting this annulment with haste. The entry ended there, and Ned turned the pages until the second bookmark, his heart beginning to race. Sir Barristan Selmy paid me the compliment of a visit this afternoon, with a message from Prince Rhaegar. So it seems that, now that I have agreed to the annulment and have shown him that I have begun to draft it, he has left the capital in search of his lady love. I will not be in the least surprised when the prince requested that I come and grant him the signed annulment, and, at once, marry him to the Lady Lyanna Stark. I had thought that it had only been a fling, something to happen in the heat of a tourney, when spring has been promised. But it seems not. So it looks like off to Dawn I go. The only reason I have accepted to be summoned like some paltry septon, instead of the dignified high septon that I am, is because the prince assures me that the time of his mad father and his mad designs will soon come to an end. There were a lot of pages between that entry and the next bookmark, as it seemed the High Septon had a habit of recording any information he came across, such as the number of bricks on the wall of the room at an inn where he had spent the night. "It is done, and let us now hope for the best. The marriage between Prince Rhaegar and Princess Elia has officially, lawfully, and wholly annulled. I signed the paper in the morning, and by afternoon we were standing before a heart tree, and I joined Prince Rhaegar in holy matrimony with the now Princess Lyanna. I would have liked to be in a sept, though not only is there none nearby, but the bride also insists on honouring her own gods, the northern tree gods, as if they were true and as binding as the seven. But the marriage was celebrated in the light of the seven, so that is all that matters. After a small wedding breakfast for only the groom, bride, and the king's guard here with us, the prince and princess retired to their chambers to consummate their union. I must say, I at least am hopeful for a brighter future." Ned was trembling by the time he got to the last bookmark. "A boy came rushing into the village this morning, sent by Lord Stark, who arrived yesterday. Though I was unaware, I would have returned to the tower days ago if I had known. But who could have predicted? It seems that a letter arrived for the princess, informing her of what had happened at the sack of King's Landing. And the hares say to sack our capital. But back to our tale. The news of what had happened to her husband's children and former wife was too upsetting for the Lady Lyanna, and while she was still reeling from Prince Rhaegar's death, she was driven to early labour then, and she perished from complications in childbed at dusk. To me, it seems the height of irony that Robert Baratheon rebelled against the throne in the name of his beloved, all the while she hid away, married to another man and carrying his child. But that is another matter entirely. The newborn is already, lawfully at least, the king of the 7 kingdoms. The maids whispered that Lord Stark promised his sister in her final moments that he would protect the boy, his nephew. But how, when he has already helped Robert Baratheon, his long-time friend, take the throne? I only hope that the boy, King Aegon, will be safe and not end like his older half-brother and namesake. But since Lord Stark has not let the boy out of his sight since his sister died, I believe the child will be spared, whatever might be the fate of the throne." Ned sighed, putting the journal away. The truth he had spent years hiding in order to protect Jon, brought to light in the careless words written by a man who couldn't help but record every thought he ever had. If anyone were to find this journal, Jon and Daenerys were relatively safe in the Midnight Fortress, but they couldn't withstand the attack of combined forces Robert would summon. And that was not mentioning what would happen to himself, his wife, and children in the capital. Autumn setting in had made it so that even in King's Landing's heat, a warm fire would be necessary at night. And, despite Ned's protest that he didn't care for one in his solar, the servants always made sure to keep it ready to be lit within a moment's notice. So he stood from his chair and was nearly to the fireplace when Archmaester Marwyn's words came back to him. "If you ever needed proof," he stated. He hesitated. Then he turned away from the fireplace and to the little hiding space Ella had carved into the stone floor, exactly for the need to keep this sort of thing from prying eyes. It should be Jon's choice what to do with this evidence. Robb stood at his doorway, staring at the bedchamber before him. His chambers were already undergoing the process of being converted from a bachelor's to a married lord's. The previously unoccupied rooms were nearly finished, made into Marjorie's bedchamber, dressing room, and solar. His own bedchamber was remaining mostly unchanged, though, if he was honest, he hoped he and his new wife would share the same bedchamber instead of sleeping separately. The fact was that by the time he and Marjorie returned to Winterfell, to their home, they would be married for at least a moon. And the thought scared him a bit. Would they get along well, as they did now? Or would they fizzle out, discover themselves incompatible once they began to spend all their time together? Would they follow the fate of too many marriages across the kingdoms, where the lord and lady spent all their time apart, and only met in a few occasions to try for heirs? "We need to go, Rob," Theon called to get him, "or we'll lose daylight hours." I know. Let's go." "Are you having second thoughts?" the Ironborn said. No second thoughts," Rob said. "I'm just letting my mind wander. But there's no use to it. Come on, it's time to go." "Why are you scared of marrying one of the most beautiful girls in the realm?" Rob sighed. "You know, Theon, John is right. You should use your head a little more. Not everything is about cocks." "Says the man who stopped going to the whorehouse ever since your father set your betrothal in respect to a woman. You're a man, Rob. You have needs." Rob rolled his eyes and grabbed his gloves, turning to leave the room. He really hoped Theon would change the subject. Otherwise it would be a very long way to King's Landing. John double-checked Winterstorm's saddle once more, making sure the straps to hold Lyanna in place were secure. Although he and Dany didn't like the idea of bringing the children to King's Landing, the attack on the Winterfell nursery made them want to have Lyanna and little Adam nearby, even knowing the guard on the castle had never been so tight. "When does this little guy get his chance on a saddle?" Rob asked, coming with little Adam perched on his shoulders. "Aunt Isla insisted, and Dany agreed that one named day old is too young," John said, smiling at his son. "So I guess only next year." "Tough on you, little guy," Rob said, looking up. "You get to go with the ladies." The boy laughed, unaware of what exactly was being denied him. "He'll have Rickard as company, at least," John said. "Rob, the children need to go inside the carriage now," Dany called. "Mama calls you, little guy. Your time with your favourite uncle is over," Rob said, and John only chuckled, watching them go. "Sir Davos said the winds are blowing south should help you get there faster," Sam said, "so at least the voyage won't be as long." "Great," John chuckled. "I don't mind the sea as much as you, but I do agree that we belong on dry land." "But you look like you have something you're scared of telling me. What is it?" "Well, it's just, you see, well, I got a raven today, from my mother." "Really? You told her about the wedding, surely?" John asked. He knew how much Sam cared about his mother. Yes, I have. But you see, well, my father apparently thought nothing of it." "I'm sorry, Sam, but I think you're better off without him." "I know that. But, well, my mother is using my father's threatening me against him now. I'm sure he's furious, since she was always the perfect lady wife beforehand. But now she's showing her Florent temper. She, Sam, if you're hesitating because you're worried I'll say no, I'm going to be very cross. It's your wedding! Of course your mother is welcome. She's always welcome, but now especially." He exhaled in relief. "Really?" "I'm offended now, Sam," John said. "Sorry, it's your castle, your home. You don't need to put up with my guests." "And now I'm hurt as well. It might be my castle, Sam, but it's our home. I'm very happy that your mother is coming to celebrate your wedding." "She and my sister, actually," Sam said with a small smile. "I just didn't want to impose." "Damn, Sam, now I really am worried. Am I really that scary?" "You forget I have seen you with a sword in your hand facing a real enemy," Sam joked. "Yes, you are very scary." John rolled his eyes. "You know what I meant." "Meant about what?" Dany asked, coming closer with Lyanna.
"Lady Tarly and Lady Tala are coming for the wedding," John said with a smile.
"They will probably only get here after you are back, but—" Sam started sheepishly. "Sam!" Dany exclaimed, and he stiffened. "And you only tell us now! God, now how will we properly prepare the castle to receive them? Oh, you don't have to. Of course I must, Danny cut in. Come on, Leah, go with Papa. Erie, you help Lord Starling and Lady Leanna. I will have a quick word with the steward. You go ahead. I'll manage to catch up in the carriage. Danny, you don't need to, Sam tried again. Sam, she started, you are a dear, and you are a very capable administrator. But when it comes to hosting guests, you are as helpless like any other man. It will take but a moment. She hurried away.
Good thing she didn't hear the first part of our conversation, John said, chuckling as he mounted. Come on, Leah.
She squealed in happiness, and Erie helped John place her and fasten the strap safely. By then Rob was next to them, also mounted.
So, Leah, what do you think? Who can get to the pier first? You and Papa or Uncle Rob?
We, Papa, we can win.
John chuckled. What do you think, brother? Oh, brother, I will take your challenge. I'm only sorry for you, Leah. You will lose your first race. We'll see that.
John said, We win, Uncle. Papa is best. Laughing, they took their places and then kicked their horses into galloping, quickly vanishing out of sight past the gates. Sam only laughed and waved as the carriage went by him. Ella rolled her eyes when she walked into her solar and found a visitor that had made himself comfortable in one of the armchairs. Are you hiding from your paramour? Because the only reason you ever hid in my chambers was when you pulled one of your pranks and needed to hide from your mother, she said, sitting at her desk. Wow, hello to you too. I am well, thank you for asking. And I come in peace. Ella sighed. What is the crisis, Obi? What is wrong with you today? You are not normally this cranky, he said, coming to sit across from her. She only glared as he put his feet up on the desk, but Oberon only smiled, not taking them down. I am the groom's stepmother, and the wedding is in 11 days. The groom is not here yet, only tomorrow or the day after, but I have to deal with the Queen of Thorns complaining about everything. On top of that, I am nearly 8 moons pregnant and everything hurts. Right. Congratulations on the baby. I hope it is a girl. Girls are great, and I am very happy I was blessed with 8 of them. Thank you, she smiled. But other than being where you are not expected, is there a reason why you are here? Yes, actually. Though I must say, your armchair is very comfortable, and I had a sublime nap. So, where is your boring northerner? Jory! Ella called, and the guard came in, being taken aback when he saw the man in there. Don't bother, Jory. Prince Oberon has a habit of getting into where he shouldn't be. Could you send for Lord Stark, please?
Of course, my lady,
he said, and left quickly. I think your guard doesn't like me, Obi said. You did just break in through his watch. They talked of nonsense for a few moments until Ned came in.
Prince Oberon, he greeted stiffly. To what do we owe your visit?
Well, I was invited to the wedding. As if you ever needed an invitation to anywhere you wanted to go, Ella said, and you know that is not what he meant. Damn, you are cranky today. Oberon! She exclaimed, her temper rising. Get to the point!
He had the nerve to chuckle. Well, to those of you who believe in magical coincidences
or divine intervention. Oberon, I have a child sitting on my bladder and kicking my ribs. I am not in the mood for your theatrics, so I swear to the mother, just say it already. Oh, all right, all right. I happened to get to Starfall just as Garlus threw himself out of the window of the pale stone sword. I won't say I didn't laugh at the irony. May he feed the fishes and at least do some good to the world, Ella muttered. Well, Ledric shared the news with me, and after helping him clean up the mess... Thank you for that, by the way, Ella said. The prince waved it away. I was there, and he is smart, so I was little more than a helping hand. Anyway, I continued on my way to Old Town. You know I have contacts in the Citadel. He took a journal from his pockets and laid it on the desk. This conspiracy is worse than we had imagined. Ned clenched his jaw. He did not need another journal that exposed the truth. But then, if that was what the journal spoke of, Oberyn would know about the annulment, and he didn't seem to be harboring any strong emotions right now. "How did you get this?" Ella said. "I told you. I have contacts in the Citadel," Oberyn said with a shrug. "Gods, is she one of yours?" "Isn't she?" Ella asked. Then she chuckled. "Only a Dornish girl would have the guts. Only one of your girls would be daring enough."
"She who?"
Ned asked. "Archmaester Marwyn's assistant," Ella replied, and Oberyn rolled his eyes.
"But I thought—" Ned was confused. "I thought the Archmaester said he or she was an acolyte. I thought only boys—" "Oh, right. You mean have the guts to pretend to be a boy?"
"How did you know?" the prince asked. "Men are so blind sometimes." Ella laughed. "She is good in disguise, but to an observant eye there are a few clues to be picked up on. She looks like a summer islander, so I'm guessing—" "Oh, clever! Hilarious!" "I'm sure she will be both thrilled and upset you saw through the disguise, and congratulated her on it," Oberyn said. "But back to the point. I didn't really believe how far back this conspiracy went until I read this." He pointed to the book. "This is the personal journal of Archmaester Gilladane. He was the last maester to serve in Summerhall, and a survivor of the tragedy. He wrote a few history books, and his last papers have been found recently. Sarella took this out of the box in Maester Yandel's study, and gave it to me. It seems Archmaester Marwyn had told her not to go searching for it. But, well, she is my daughter."
"Why? What does it say?" Ned asked, and Ella started to ruffle through the pages.
"Aegon V may have been the stupid fool who ordered the dragon eggs to be put in a basin with wildfire. But that wasn't what caused the explosion," Oberyn said. "The maesters are the ones who set it all up. They spent a fortune bringing that explosive powder from Yi, so once the basin with wildfire exploded, they exploded the rest of the palace. They always expected the egg hatching would go wrong. Not that it had much chance to go right. But the whole palace only went up in flames because the maesters set it on fire."
"Why? If they already expected the ritual to backfire?"
Ned asked. "Apparently the ritual going wrong would kill Aegon V, and perhaps Prince Duncan, since they were the only ones supposed to be the closest to the basin. But the rest of the Targaryens were inside Summerhall too," Oberyn said. "And if they could get everyone dead in a seeming accident of their own making, the throne would have gone to the Baratheons without a bloody rebellion. Much earlier, and with much less death." "Unbelievable!" Ella gasped, reading the journal.
"Our plan was flawed, that is for certain. The wildfire going out of control, as we knew it would, killed King Aegon V, and reached Sir Duncan the Tall as he tried to save Prince Duncan. Although the explosive powder worked and the whole of Summerhall went up in flames, we have not counted on the expediency of the Kingsguard rescuing many people. But most importantly, now that King Jaehaerys II and his son Aerys, the Prince of Dragonstone, as well as his pregnant sister-wife, the Princess Rhaella. The explosion and massive things sent her into labor, but not even that was enough to affect the little princeling south. Prince Rhaegar refused to die before he could accomplish anything and bring any glory to his name. No one knows what his future holds, but for those who believe in this nonsensical mysticism, for being born amidst so much tragedy and doom, I dare say he will carry this weight throughout his years, and die amidst tragedy and doom."
Ella set the journal on the table. "This is only getting worse. How many innocent people weren't killed in that tragedy? And all for the greed of a group of men?" "Everything that happens anywhere only happens because of the greed of someone, usually men," Oberyn said. Summer Hall was the spectacle that showcased the weakness of the Targaryens, Ella. Aegon V was unpopular across the kingdoms because of the broken betrothals. Jaehaerys was weakened by grief. And we don't need to mention what was wrong with the Mad King. Their investment worked out in the long end. But anyway, what's your plan regarding this conspiracy?
Find hard evidence, gather all the co-conspirators, and introduce them to Ice, Ned said in a hard tone.
Oberyn smiled. I'll ask Sir Elec to keep looking. There must be a book of maesters or something somewhere. Thank you, Obi, Ella said, and thank you for bringing this to us. Hey, if someone had murdered my daughter, I know you would have helped me without being asked. It's what friends are for, right? Ella smiled as he left. She didn't know if she could fully relax, though. Had he already not noticed or given any thought to the fact that the child Ella had carried back before the rebellion had been murdered, and was therefore not the lord of a northern castle? Though, on her end, since Liara was a year older than Jon, it would be impossible, since she and Ned hadn't met again. Or perhaps enough time had passed that Oberyn hadn't thought about the finer details of the timeline. And she knew him. He was too short-tempered to keep in something as big as the suspicion of Jon's parentage. Most likely he believed Jon had been conceived while she and Ned mourned their dead daughter, thinking her too weak to live. Or he hadn't even been bothered with the thought at all. It was to Ella's great relief and general happiness that the Lady Daenerys finally brought the rest of their family to the capital. Up to bed with you, Ella said as they met in the family room. You need rest, and from the looks of it you have been getting very little of it.
But Lady Olenna,
Ella protested as Isla turned her around and started pushing her towards the stairs. Nothing Sansa, Dany and I can't handle, I'm sure. Now come on, Adam, help your sister to bed. Midwife's orders.
I'm not beyond carrying you, little sister, the Ned said, amused.
Ella went, complaining the whole way that there was loads to be done.
I did tell her to make it easy,
Ned mumbled. She said even sleeping hurts now, Sansa said as she and Lyanna hugged. I'm sure. I'll get her more pillows later. Isla smiled, smiling as Cragen walked over, Benjen lifting him up and kissing his cheek. Well, hello, my gallant little lord. Auntie missed you. Grandpa, Papa and I won the race, Grandpa, Lyanna said, jumping around.
What race, little love? Ned asked, picking her up in a tight hug. We raced from the fortress to the pier, Jon said. Hello, father. It was Leia's beginner's luck, Robb mumbled.
And there was a rematch around the harbour as we boarded the ship, Dany said. Robb, accept it. Jon is half a centaur, and Winterstorm is the fastest horse in the north.
Jon smiled. Half a centaur. Aye, it was a family trait. Jon and Arya are the best horseback riders of the family, he said. But you have other qualities, Robb.
I'm centaur too, Grandpa, Leah said, kicking her feet in the air.
You will be the best horsewoman in the family when you grow up, little love, Ned said, humouring her. Then I want to be there when you beat your papa in a race.
Lyanna exclaimed in joy, drawing laughs from the others.
When she is old enough to race, Jon asked quietly to Dany as tea was served. Who are you going to root for?
She smiled sweetly. Jon, you are my love, but she is my daughter. She wins every time.
I see, he said, and then chuckled. All right, I can live with that. Though we are not playing favourites with the children.
Of course not, Dany agreed. That's why we're never racing against each other. He chuckled again, and they came closer to the table. It had been too long since a family meal. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Oberyn being OTP, I love it. And oh boy, maesters. Then again, Oberyn is very right. Most of what goes wrong in the world is due to greedy men. And yes, I say most. I'm not a sexist person, but let's face it, with the way the systems of the world are built, can you really blame me for saying that? Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.